Congress faces some crucial deadlines. Federal courts will run out of money in 3 days, and some 800,000 federal employees will miss their second paycheck. In 9 days, more federal housing assistant contracts will start to expire. In February, NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab may need to cut staff, and the Census Bureau's budget could run dry ahead of the 2020 census. In 10 days, rent subsidies will run out for nearly 270,000 low-income rural families. 2 days after that, the State Department will need more money to meet its payroll. And in 17 days, federal employees will miss their third paycheck. Susan Page is Washington Bureau Chief for USA Today. Susan, good morning.
Good morning.
It is long past due for a legislative and executive remedy to this. What is Congress going to do this week, and will it work?
Well, I don't think it's going to work. Congress is going to take steps this week to show each side that they're making some efforts, but they're still not talking to each other. They're just talking at each other, and both sides have rejected the other side's proposals as complete non-starters.
Does political pressure normally work in these kind of things? Both sides have drilled down so heavily.
You know, traditionally, political pressure would have worked. We know that President Trump is taking the brunt of the blame from a series of polls. Traditionally, that would have pushed the White House to make some kind of deal. Political pressure isn't working this time. I think reality might work. Look at the things that Norah just talked about, the real impact on Americans, both the federal workers and everybody else. And if there's a time when people cannot fly commercially because there just aren't enough TSA agents to do the security, that's what might finally push a deal.
Yeah, if the TSA really took action, and they could totally shut down the city, couldn't
More
they?
powerful than members
Shut down
of
the country,
Congress,
rather.
right?
Yes.
We keep hearing about the president being so close to a deal and then being beholden to people like Ann Coulter and even Fox News. How factual is that? How much does he rely on their voice?
You know, we had a deal. The country had a deal last month to keep funding the government, and the president initially agreed to it and then walked away from it because he was criticized by Ann Coulter and Rush Limbaugh. And that's one reason Democrats are very nervous about making another deal with him. Will he follow through with it? That's one of the things that makes it hard to see a way out of this impasse now.
Except we see, and with a new poll out this morning, that Republicans increasingly blame the president for the shutdown. To Gayle's point, the political pressure. Will we see Republicans in Congress start to cleave from the president's position?
Well, one of the mysteries of the past 2 years with President Trump is that Republicans have not done that. Paul Ryan didn't do that. Mitch McConnell has not done that. But, you know, Donald Rumsfeld used to have a saying that if you can't solve a problem, make it bigger. And it seems to me that that is one way out of this. If you had a big deal, a deal that gave permanent protection to the Dreamers in exchange for giving President Trump some money he could save us for his wall, that might be a path out.
So who could be the knight in shining armor here, or knights in shining armor?
Well, you know, Senate Republicans are in a position to really push the White House. That's one possibility. TSA agents, are we looking to them?
And Democrats have really dug in their heels, said no to his most recent proposal, one of the reasons being that his DACA deal does not offer a pathway to citizenship. One of the reasons I've heard is that Nancy Pelosi and others do not want to reward what they view as bad behavior from the president. If he thinks that he can get away with this, that he can do it again in the future. Is that true?
Yes, I think it's true that they're worried about setting a precedent that you just shut down the government and then you get something that you would otherwise not be able to get. So I do think that is part of it. But Democrats also are anxious this week to show that they, number one, are willing to go some distance. Number two, willing to give a little more money for border security. And that doesn't actually, I think, get you closer to a deal, but it does indicate that there is some nervousness about standing at this standoff.
We just saw Senator Kamala Harris threw her hat into the ring. A number of women, certainly on the Democratic side, a record number, running for president. Peggy Noonan's got a piece in the Wall Street Journal today, which she writes about it's harder to be a public woman in America than a public man, and harder to be a female candidate. Will that change in 2020?
It may not change, but it is changing. You know, we've had women run for president even before Hillary Clinton. They were not taken seriously as potential nominees. All four of the women that we think are running this time are taken seriously as potential nominees, and that is a sea change.
Susan, we got to go, but can we just say congratulations on your new book deal, writing about
Nancy Pelosi.
Nancy Pelosi.
The most powerful woman in the country.
Yeah. Thank you.
And first, your book on Barbara Bush, Will. So women from both political parties, very exciting. Thank you, Susan.
You're very busy. Thank you, Susan Page. Appreciate you taking the time to come here.